how did the Browns get back in on Watson? Was it born out of Mayfield saying, I want out, and they decided, well, one way to move on then and get out of all this is to get Watson anyway?
The Browns gave Deshaun Watson 230 million reasons to choose Cleveland, fully guaranteed. They were told they were out on Thursday morning. They came back later on that day. I was told by somebody involved in the situation that when Deshaun Watson went to bed on Thursday night, there was maybe a 10% chance that he was going to be a Brown. But he woke up and continued to think on the roster, on the general manager, Andrew Berry, who had been so aggressive pursuing him, on the owner, Jimmy Haslam, who really impressed him with his knowledge of the football operation. And then there was the contract. I mean, Rich, this is not just within the context of Deshaun Watson and the serious allegations of sexual misconduct that he continues to face in 22 civil lawsuits and NFL investigation that could lead to a suspension, even though he was not criminally charged. This is a unprecedented contract in every way, so much so that when I was talking to general managers and other front office people, and people were reaching out directly to me, obviously there's a lot involved with the Watson situation, and there were various reasons the other teams involved were not willing to do a contract like this. But at a very base level, contracts like this don't exist in the NFL. And so somebody I respect very much in the league told me they just changed the entire landscape of the economics of the NFL, because all of a sudden it's a 5-year guarantee, $230 million, which means that not only does Watson get paid $46 million this year, but Jimmy Haslam has to put a $184 million check into escrow by next March 31st to cover the remaining guarantees. Teams don't do that. And now for everybody who's got a franchise quarterback coming up, whether it is Lamar Jackson, who is in the midst of talks, whether it's guys like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, who are going to be coming up soon, Kyler Murray, who wants and expects a contract ASAP from the Cardinals, this is the new benchmark, and it's so far beyond any other deal we've seen in terms of guaranteed money that this has the possibility to be an inflection point, and we'll see. Obviously not everyone's going to have the leverage from a football perspective that Deshaun Watson did, but we'll see how this now has an impact on future contracts, because there's a lot of teams that aren't happy about this.
Well, you were right to say leverage from a football perspective, because Watson had no leverage from an outside of football perspective, and I'm sure that's what prospective agents are going to be saying, about Justin Herbert and or anybody else, Burrow coming up, assuming they don't have any off the field issues that garner an absurd number of civil lawsuits that's filed against him. So why did the Browns, what due diligence, best you can tell, did the Browns do on Watson where they felt comfortable doing this, knowing that they'd have to sell it to a fan base and knowing that Watson will have to do that personally at some point as well?
I would say, broadly speaking, the teams involved in Deshaun Watson trade talks did extensive background work. Some of them hired private investigators to go to Houston, certainly getting in touch with various people involved with the legal process. And obviously the attorney representing the 22 women in the civil lawsuit says that he was not reached out to, nor were his clients. But there was substantial digging that went into this, reference work. And listen, I certainly understand the sensitivity of the matter and the concerns that a lot of people have about the totality of this, particularly when you're fully guaranteeing someone $230 million and indemnifying them against having to give that up if eventually Deshaun Watson is suspended by the league. But teams, you aren't putting this type of capital and this type of contract forward if you do not have a level of confidence, not certainty, but confidence that there are not going to be further allegations, that behavior, that decision-making is going to change, and that Deshaun Watson realizes that he's going to need to be completely on the straight and narrow and, reestablish himself, as they said in their statements, in the community. Again, I understand that that's not going to be enough for plenty of people, and I'm sensitive to that. And I think that the Browns understand what they were dealing with here. But Again, what is the goal of NFL teams? It's not to have 90 of the perfect citizens. It's to win football games. Like it or not, that's their job, is to win football games and make money. Deshaun Watson can help the Browns do both those things, and they were willing to take all the risk on that Houston had been carrying over the past 14 months by keeping him on the roster. That now transfers to Cleveland.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.